Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Welcome to yet another edition of our program, The Liberian Dream, always hosted here by Mr. Leo Nupolu Johnson. But today he's a different guy. I am in charge and he's in trouble. Hey, I'm just killing. But it is The Liberian Dream. Welcome. Do us that usual favor, fellow Liberians and listeners across the globe. Share the show with your contacts and let us get started. This is something that you need to listen to. Well, let me do this for you quickly. It is about the Liberian Learning Center. The Liberian Learning Center, I will be telling you more about it. So in today's edition of The Liberian Dream, we will be talking about the Liberian Learning Center. But the topic for discussion is also changing the narrative from politicking to nation building. And we'll be using the case of the Liberian Learning Center that is under construction. The gentleman who is the brain behind all this is Leo Nupolu Johnson, and he is here with Mr. Innis, a Liberian who is in the construction business, who is carrying on this construction work. A young Liberian is in charge of building a learning center. And by the way, it's a 21st century learning center. So let me do this quickly for you. The Liberian Learning Center is a collaborative project led by Canadian Charity Empowerment Square in partnership with Rotary International, Rotary Club of Hamilton, Rotary Club of Monrovia, Pinsville City Corporation, the Hamilton Public Library, and Tribe Buchanan Development Corporation. The center will be built in multiple phases on the site of the Pinsville City Hall and will include Liberia's first post-war comprehensive learning center and library, co-working and business incubation spaces, sports, recreation facilities, and event facilities. This is what we are talking about. Something transformational, something that gives Liberia a facelift and puts Liberia in the 21st century. But before we get started, we have a video to share with you to give you more context, and then we will start the discussion. Stay tuned.
And at times I will understand because I was so anxious to get this project going. I will call Leo at odd hours in Canada, asking him, when can we start? When can we start? He will tell me, oh, you just have to be patient. It's going to happen. I also want to thank all the donors, especially the Liberian community in Canada, and also Friends of Liberia. I was privileged to be in Canada to speak at the Hamilton Library after the groundbreaking ceremony here. And there was a couple that worked with XCAM in Charlesville. And when they heard about Leo and Leo's foundation, they sought him out and they wanted to make a contribution to Liberia. And when I spoke to them, the first thing they said, we have such fond memories of Liberia and we wanted to make our impact, but we couldn't find a project that, really guided us or touched us to do this, to make a significant contribution. So we've been supporting a boarding school in Ghana, a country we've never been to. And I felt so bad. They said, but tonight we're here to make a donation. And at that program, this couple made a donation of over $100,000. And for me, I've never been anywhere where somebody made that kind of donation. And in a room full of people, I screamed, oh my God, and everybody turned around and looked at me. I was so embarrassed, but I was touched by the benevolence of these people that they wanted to give back to Liberia. And at least today, they can see where the donation is going. It's going to a learning center for the children of Pinsville and the children of Liberia.
As we enter the construction phase of the Liberia Learning Center project, we want to take a moment and thank all of you for the incredible support to this effort.
What we are all here trying to achieve will be something that will go down in history as one of the most important events we've had in Liberia since we emerged from the Civil War.
And so based on that foundation, it is our humbling duty on behalf of the City Council, the City Mayor, and the Office of the City of Painesville to break ground for this library that will be a center for wisdom and understanding.
I came to Canada in 2006 as a government-sponsored refugee. I look back in Liberia, it's 27 students for every one textbook. And those textbooks are like from the 80s and 70s. They're not even textbooks that are any more useful in any educational setting.
I shared it with Leo. He got so into it, and then the opportunity came for him to go to Canada. Then he made a promise. He said, if I go to Canada, I don't promise anything, but anything I'm going to work on, it will be on this project.
I feel that as much as it's for Liberians, it's for Canadian life.
This is an historic project, and it's a historic opportunity to participate in a project that can make a tangible difference in people's lives.
Couldn't imagine an entire country, 3.5 million people, without a single library, a place for people to gather, to learn, to communicate with each other.
A learning center, when built, will represent to an entire nation an investment in education and become a symbol of hope for an entire generation.
All right, folks, there you have it. That is the video giving us a unique kind of detail right there about the work that is ongoing. The gentleman who is spearheading the construction, his company or the company he works for is spearheading this construction is Mr. Bleejay Innis. Mr. Innis, please tell us a little about yourself and your company that is doing a very great job.
Thank you, Mr. Sia. Thank you, Leo, as well, for giving me an opportunity to be here with you all this afternoon. Again, by way of introduction, my name is Bleejay Innis, a native of Grand Bassa County, born in Buchanan, and left Liberia during the Civil War in '96 with my family and I, and we were refugees briefly in Sierra Leone before being blessed with the opportunity to come to the U.S. So since being in the U.S. and growing up and being educated in the U.S., my passion has always been connected to home and how I can contribute my talents, my skill sets, and my passion as overall to the development of our country. And thankfully, when Liberia became peaceful, as I started transitioning and visiting back home, I saw a tremendous need, and that passion grew for how I could be a part of development and change back home in Liberia. And I got into the construction and real estate industry when I was out of college, and I started working in that industry. And as I was going back home, I saw that Liberians weren't represented in that industry. And I saw that in property development or property ownership, it was foreigners who controlled the industry. We see the Lebanese, we see the Indians, and we see everyone who I saw no one who looked like me, who represented me in the industry. And as I was looking for a way to come back home, I decided that would be an avenue that I wanted to come back home and work in. And long story short, partnered with a U.S. partner, a U.S.-based construction company, and the CEO of that company, who's the current CEO of our firm at Tribe Buchanan Development, had a passion for Liberia as well, and saw what I was trying to do as a young Liberian, and came together with other partners, and we said, hey, let's start a construction company that would be able to service the industry, not just to make money and do projects, but to also be able to do things the right way and to be able to educate Liberians in the industry, to show our people that Liberians truly are capable of doing quality work, are capable of executing just as any foreigner would be able to. So that dream was birthed with us starting the company, and And thankfully, we were blessed also with an opportunity to come across the Learning Center project, which matched with our morals and our values and our mission and vision for Liberia. And here we are today.
Wow, Mr. Innis, thank you so very much. Leo, you founded Empowerment Square as a Canadian charity, which is now working in Liberia with this big project. What is the story? How did it all start?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. CA. And it feels strange to be in the seat I am today, but it's good to be on the other side. Yeah, I mean, similar to Bleejay, our stories tend to be very similar with the way the exodus happened for those of us who were lucky enough to have been able to escape the shores of Liberia through mostly refugee camps in the sub-region, whether it was Sierra Leone, Guinea, or Ghana. I left Liberia through the Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast to Ghana, roughly between 8.5 to 9 years between both countries. And then fortunately ended up in Canada too as a refugee in 2006. But before I left the camp, something happened. A very good friend of mine, he probably might be listening, Samuel Jacobs. We were all in Ghana together on the camp. But before he came to Ghana, he was in Cote d'Ivoire too. And at the time, the late daughter who just passed away now, Christine Tolbert Norma, of President William R. Tolbert, used to come to Cote d'Ivoire because they had a home in Abidjan. And she was big on her Bible studies, those who know her. So whenever she comes, she will bring all of them together for Bible studies. And my friend Samuel Jacobs he plays the keyboard as well. They will all go there, and she would give them like $1 or whatever that is. So everybody was coming because of what little thing they could get at the Bible study. It wasn't really because of Jesus or God or the Bible. But this day, he said, after the Bible study, instead of giving them $1 gifts, she gave them books each. Like she handed them books. Yeah. And the book she handed to him was a book about a young Liberian called Samuel Kabu Morris from the southeastern region, back in the 1800s, who was brought to the United States by missionaries, managed to self-educate himself. And what is now Taylor University in Indiana, it used to be called Fort Wayne College, was at the verge of bankruptcy. He was able to raise enough funds and engage the community enough to save the university from bankruptcy back in the 1800s. And as a result,
the guy from Liberia did that.
The guy from Liberia, there's a monument in his honor on the university campus as we speak right now in Indiana at the Taylor University. You can Google it. There's a movie in his honor as well. The things we don't research about Liberia. And his stated dream at the time was to go back to Liberia with his newfound education and experience to help his people. Unfortunately, I think in 1876, he died from common cold.
Oh, wow.
So that was the book that he was giving to my friend. So he had read this book and kept this, stuff in his head. So when we were on the refugee camp in Ghana, we had this vision of going back to Liberia to build this reading room. At the time, our scope of understanding was what it was. So we just built a little reading room because what we knew were libraries when we left Liberia with a small container with the books inside in our various schools that you go to for storybooks during school time. So that was what we knew. Fortunately for me, I had an opportunity to travel to Canada, and I brought that vision with me and committed myself that is what I felt was needed to underline what I call nation building. Instead of saying, let's wait to see who will be the next president, what am I on the person? And that was what led to me getting to Canada and immediately set out to start working in Canada because I realized that to be able to do that, I had to establish myself in Canada and allow people to buy into that vision, first of all, to understand what it would take to actually do that. I was in Canada for about 1 year. The next year, I started Empowerment Squared as an organization, not primarily to go back to Liberia, but to primarily innovate how we could support thousands of young Africans who were coming to Canada and were struggling in the education system because of the differences and things that they could not adjust to. In the process of doing that, I built the ability and the capacity to attract a lot of people to the type of work I was doing and convince them that the gift of education cannot only be limited to the shores of Canada. We needed to find a way to take it to places where it was even most needed. And one of that places that was close to my heart, or one of those places that was close to my heart, was Liberia. And I convinced people, and we were able to come up with the Liberia Learning Center project after about, I would say, 5 years of quiet research. We visited 13 of the 15 political subdivisions in Liberia, either our local teams or ourselves. We collected, close to 1 terabyte worth of data, recordings, research writing, brought it back to Canada, had the McMaster University where I graduated from to help us dissect the research. So what is it we were looking at? So my small idea of going back to build a reading room for probably $20,000 or $25,000, by the time we were done with the research, the university was like, what you need is not a reading room. You need a comprehensive facility that would be the bedrock for community development, community growth, and fostering education in a way that is not limited to those who go to school in the classroom, but fostering education that would be equitable and accessible to everyone, regardless of whether they go to formal school or not.
Thank you, Leo. Let's talk about the topic. Though we're talking about this learning center, but we have a topic here to drive the conversation, changing the narrative from politicking to nation building. Leo, what does that mean?
Yeah, what that means for me as a young person growing up in Liberia is that I like to say we've spent our time chasing a lot of big mouth people. And I'm saying big mouth people in our typical Liberian parlance because I've always wondered, with all these great men and women that we've had in Liberia, their academic accolades and achievements and their exploits. In fact, I come in the diaspora here and read about them all over the places. But I've always wondered, how come they haven't been able to translate that into anything meaningful in Liberia? But the only time I see them active is within the realm of politics, within the realm of wanting to get power. I've never seen them doing all the things they say in politics outside of politics. If you're a good teacher, if you're a good educator, you don't need to be at the most prestigious institution to be able to teach. You can organize teaching right on your porch if you know how to do it well. If you're a doctor, if you're a good doctor, you don't need to be the minister of health to be able to demonstrate your skills for people who are in need of it. So what we've done is we've put all our energy into who shall become president, who shall become minister, but we spend little time on nation building. What nation building is what transcends the politics of the day. I will give you an example. Jerry Rawlings, it's 40 years since Jerry Rawlings took over Ghana, 40 years. So Ghana managed to do what they've done in 40 years. Nation building is the ability for all of us to contribute to Liberia within our means, capacities, and capabilities, regardless of what positions we hold. And that commitment has to be beyond the realm of one government, which means the attitude has to be, regardless of who become president in Liberia, I will find a way to work around you to do what I have to do because it is my responsibility to Liberia. So anybody who become president, all of us president, we will find a way to work with whoever is in power to not thwart our effort of nation building, because we have to face the fact, Anthony, that we are getting involved in things that we may not be alive to see the full benefit of what it does for Liberia. Because guess what? The countries that we enjoy today, that's what their forefathers did. People planted seeds that they died long before. The great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He died. If you told Martin Luther King Jr. that he would have been revered today around the world, that the amount of things that would have happened as a result of his advocacy, he would have been like, you are a crazy man. So from politicking to nation building, we need to divert the energy of our young people from chasing who wants to be the next president to focusing on the effort of nation building so that whoever sees the importance and can join them in supporting it can be a determining factor for what type of leaders we should be electing.
So, little quickly here, I want you to contrast our, educator community and leaders who we look up to for transformation, for nation building. It said that they have not put in time to say, hey, let's focus on nation building. Is it what it is? And that others like Ghana, you gave an example to, and the Westerners have always focused on this idea of a nation building as opposed to just, I want to be able to work in the government. What is the contrast and what is lacking from our end as Liberians, especially those who have had the opportunity to lead us?
I think the contrasts have been the deception, and I would say fraud, that we've lived for a long time as a country. The original intent from 1847 was not to build a nation. It was designed to build an empire controlled by a few elites, which is what was built, but was presented as if it was nation building. So what you had was a small number of elites who control 95% of all the country's wealth and resources for their personal benefits and not for everybody. Fast forward to 1979, 1980, we saw a group of people who were marginalized by that very system for over 100 years, managed to stage a bloody, violent military intervention and took over with the intent that they were going to change it from how bad it was to what it should have been. Instead, what they did also was to try and create another elite class of a new elite of a few handful of people who wanted to enjoy the same thing the old elites enjoy, to sit at a place where they will control all the resources of the country. So we got convinced that that was the path for nation building. So we all followed it. And ever since, we haven't stopped destroying ourselves for who should be the next class of elites. And we see it today. There is a new class of elites again who have set themselves and developed this situation where it does not matter how 95% of the country is impacted. It matters what the new class of elites is. So I think the biggest problem from us Liberians has been to believe the falsehood and the lies that any one president has the ability to change our country, or any one government has the ability to change our country or to set it where it should be. They don't. It is false. And this is where we all as Liberians, whether you're a doctor, an engineer, a teacher, a market woman, a weaver, whatever you are, we need to start approaching our country from the standpoint that we all do matter. And what we do within our means is what will fill in the blocks. Let me sum it up by saying this. If I gave you 100 oranges, Anthony, and say, please make me orange juice, and 95 of the oranges are rotten, I care less how much sugar you pour in that orange juice, that rotting orange juice. When you sleep at the morning, it will start to smell. So what we need to do is to change the rotting oranges. If 95 of the oranges are good and only 5 are rotting, you can throw away the 5 and still get enough orange juice from the 95. So we need to get down to the very bottom of our society, from the family unit, one church at a time, one family at a time, one community association at a time. That is where the work needs to be done, because when the people growing up in our country, majority of them understand that nation building is not selfishly about how much I get, but it's about what I can do in my power, in my part, so that tomorrow when I'm gone, others can continue to build from where I am. We will not have the need to be worried about who becomes the next president, because the population will be more powerful than who becomes an individual president.
Thank you, Leo. Let's come to the Liberian Learning Center. My question here is, what is the Liberian Learning Center project, and why should people in Liberia think that this will be different from any other NGO project that they have seen and also, falling short?
So first of all, it is a true Liberian dream born on a Liberian refugee camp. Let me begin by actually saying that. But number two, it's not based on quick impact. Usually call them quick impact projects, where you come in, you roll out, you have a mandate, you do what you have to do, then you leave. No, it is based on what is responsive to our needs as a nation. And that is why it took us 5 years, Anthony, to just research, first of all, and understand from our people, what is it we need to do together? It was not, what do the white people need to come help you do? It was about what we need to do together. And that's why I want to thank a lot of partners, from Youth Crime Watch to Pinsville City Corporation to Rotary. All of them came together. When the research was done, there was $0. And then the concept was, we will go to friends and partners to say, this is what we want. After the 5 years of research, we went back to Liberia when we did the summary of the research and said to people, does this look like what you told us? What you said to us? We tried to capture it. Once we finalized that, then we got on the process of saying, which partners agree with what our people say they want, that are willing to support us? And that's how we started to fundraise. And I would tell you today, what is different from this project is led true by Liberians, from the construction to the visioning to who makes the decision, who sets the calls. And what is also different is that, Anthony, it does not need government for it to happen, because we have this tendency in Liberia that anything you do, when you not get a government, it will. But by the way, let me just say this. I also want to be grateful to the will of the Pinsville City Corporation. 3 different mayors. It started with Mayor Letitia Reeves. When Mayor Letitia Reeves left, Mayor Sivette Gibson came in and continued to build. I'm giving you an example of nation building. When Mayor Sivette Gibson left, Mayor Pam Belcher Taylor came in and even took it to a whole new level. So imagine, we've gone through 3 different Pinsville City mayors. We've gone through 2 different governments now. It started with Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and now it's President Weah. So this is a proof that this project is different. It's already survived the process of transitions without necessarily getting caught up in the politics of the day.
Thank you so very much. Let me bring Mr. Innis in here quickly. Bleejay, I like that name. In Liberia, there is a tendency, right, that it is impossible to get a contract, especially since your company is relatively new on the landscape in Liberia without having any type of deep connection behind the scenes, maybe to government or anything like that. How did this really happen?
Man, it's I'll give a context. When I came to America, I used to play American football,
Okay.
and when I started playing American football, my freshman year, I started on the team. I had a starting position, and some other players on the team who have been there longer than me, who are more senior than me, were upset that I was starting. And the coach said, the best players are going to play. The players who understand what they're doing, the players who have the skill sets to be able to execute, are going to be the players who are going to get on the field and play. And for me, in my life, that's the mindset I've always had. I never needed anything to be handed to me. I was raised and taught to be able to work hard, and that if you have the skill set and if you put in the work and you're able to do things the right way, the right outcome is going to come. So I would say this project was a lot of the same for me. When I heard about the project, ironically, I was on a plane heading back to Liberia, and I was sitting next to a friend of mine on the plane, and we were talking about nation building. We were talking about optimism for Liberia. While other people were on the plane talking about how Liberia would never develop, and they were pessimistic and negative about the country, we were having positive conversations. And a guy sitting behind us, who is part of the Liberian Association in Canada, heard our conversation, and he said, man, I'm enjoying the conversation you young guys are having. It's refreshing to hear positive thinking, about Liberia. And as we started engaging, he told me that they were coming to do a dedication for the Liberian Learning Center. And when he asked what I did, I said, well, I'm in the construction industry. I've transitioned back home to Liberia, and I'm spending time in Liberia in order to be able to grow our company and contribute to the development of the country. So he said, well, this is a project you should learn about if you haven't learned about it. And I was so excited about the concept of the project, not so much, this is a project that I would be able to see how I can bid, who are my government connections I can call to see who's attached to this project. I mean, the fact that this was even a thought, that a library in Liberia's oldest republic was finally about to be built, was exciting to me as a young person who values education and values things being done the right way. And, I went to some sessions that Leo and the team from Canada had, where they were engaging stakeholders and young people. My team and we visited, and we sat there and we just shared ideas. We shared in the excitement as far as what was happening. And as time went on, Leo and his team were reaching out to us and other stakeholders about information to get the project off the ground, because they had already had a conceptual drawing and architectural rendering of what this project would be like. But, they still needed more data and information to make it practical, to be able to do their estimation and their costing. And as they were reaching out and, asking what were some pieces of advice that we had, what were some data that we had about the market, if I didn't know the answer, I'll tell Leo, I don't know. If it was going to take me 1 day or 2 days to get the response, I'll say, please give me 1 or 2 days or 1 week. I didn't make up things. I didn't lie about things I didn't know how to do. And I think that honesty and that relationship that we were building, and they challenged our technical expertise. They had their technical team in Canada come back to us and engage with us. And, and they reached out and said, well, this project needs a partner. Rather, more so than a contractor, this project needs a partner who can contribute to the lifetime of this project overall. Where we are right now, this is an NGO. All the funding is not available to say, here's all the money. We will go out and hire somebody to bid to to build this project. We need someone who can help us in the fundraising. We need someone who will help us in project management. We need someone who will help us in the lifeline of this project as far as how we've laid this project out. Right. And we were patient enough as a new company to say, hey, this is something that's it's historical for the country. We would love to be a part of this. And, for us, it wasn't about getting a big project. It wasn't about saying, oh, we're going to make a lot of money from this. It was just the excitement of a Liberian leading this organization, a Liberian-led organization who was entrusting us to say, hey, we would love for you to come on as a partner if you are willing to see how we can bring this to light. And that's how we got excited about the project. My team and I and the management team of our company, we came together and we said, hey, this is something that we want to be a part of. We want to be a part of history in this way, and we're willing to work with Empowerment Square and other stakeholders to see this become a reality. And the fact that they trusted us as a Liberian-led organization to be able to do this, we knew that we had to be on our A game to be able to execute and to be able to deliver, because it meant a lot, not just for our company, but for other Liberian companies as well, who would be looking for an opportunity for their people to trust them in executing projects.
Two things quickly. One, you as a Liberian, did it care to find out if you had any history of building, a structure like this in the past before they can trust you? Did they care to know about your history? That's one. The other part is, you and your team, did you people express any fear that given where these people coming from and we being Liberian, all right, or I being Liberian, leading this thing, we can't blow this thing up, because if we do, it will send negative message to the people that are trying to help, and it will also reflect on us as a people and myself. Did you care about that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, I told a short story given the time that we have, but there was a very, very extensive vetting process, very extensive vetting process. And I think I would be lying if I said Empowerment Square wasn't as nervous to work with us as we probably were to work with them, right?
Right.
Doing construction, you get clients who say, oh, we want to do the project, they waste your time. You spin around, you spend resources and time, and nothing happens, and vice versa. You entrust a company to do a project and they ruin it, and then you ruin the trust that you have with your partners and your donors and your other stakeholders. So there was a very extensive vetting process from us presenting our credentials, our team, the work that we've been able to do. Of course, we lean heavily on the expertise of work that we were able to do. We've been able to do internationally in the U.S. and other countries. Okay. We lean on the experience of work that we had started to do in Liberia, of other projects in Liberia that we were already working with on a smaller scale. And as a new company, we were entering the market and we were undertaking projects. A lot of our projects were under construction, were in design and engineering phase as well. So I think for them, entrusting us as a company, there were several months of vetting, of talking to their board, of vetting our team members and looking into what we've done. And we welcome that. There was nothing for us to hide. We were very open and honest about the fact that we were a new company in the market, but we were also very confident in our abilities to be able to execute, given the experience that we've had internationally and the staff and the team that we had on board. Our company, I spent a lot of time recruiting some of the best minds in Liberia who are engineers, who were project managers, who have worked on some of the biggest projects in Liberia, everything from the NASCOR building to the LBDI building, to most of the major projects you can think of in Liberia. A lot of our team members that I recruited and we hired on had expertise in management level working with those projects. So we were showing that, hey, we recruited the best and brightest minds who were Liberians to come in and work for us. And these were the expertise combined with our international experience that was going to be executing this project. And, and of course they did their resource, they did their homework in checking and making sure that what we were telling them was actually valid. It wasn't just based off of connection. It wasn't just based off of, you're a young Liberian. I want to give this project to you or your company. It seems interesting for marketing. Oh, this story sounds good. Let's make it happen. Because at the end of the day, it would have been an embarrassment. Well, it
Right.
will be an embarrassment for Leo, and frankly, it'll be an embarrassment for me and
Mhm.
my company. And I felt like if we weren't in the position to be able to execute it, we would have gracefully walked away and said, "Hey, we don't think we're in a position right now to undertake this project." But we were
Thank
very
you.
confident in what we were doing. They put us through a lot of vetting, and thankfully, we passed their vetting process, and we were awarded the opportunity to partner on this project.
Thank you. And Leo, when you and your team made that decision, I'm flipping the question around. Well, he's my own. The company is Liberian company. The money that I'm getting it from somewhere. I'm giving this contract to a Liberian company. Man, that gotta be tough. Knowing the history that we know, I don't want to go into that.
Yeah.
And you made a decision where you like, am I making the right decision here? And I know you had that thought, but what got you to say I have to do it?
It was tough because first of all, the moment I started to talk about this project in Liberia, immediately all the red flags went up from our board. Before even we talk about going there, from our board, from stakeholders, from funders, because when they did their research, and some of them are very knowledgeable about what goes on in Liberia as well, because most of them are international people who work internationally. One of them, actually, our board chair is the United Nations Special Rapporteur globally for the rights to development. So these are people who read the reports, who see all of the things that come, and most of them just look at me with chill running down their spine. So I managed to get them over that little hump. He said, no, we will do the work, we'll do the research first before we decide. Then we got to the stage of me saying, I was adamant that there's no way we can do this work if it is not built by a Liberian company. Wow. And then they were like, okay, you're crazy. This is a $2 million project in its totality, and you expect us to trust that there is any company, a Liberian company in Liberia that we can trust will do this work, not just about the side of corruption, but also will meet the quality and excellence that we are looking for. Because just so you know, Anthony, when we're doing this project, the Canadian government required us to build this building at the very minimum by Canadian building standard building codes. So Bleejay will tell you the processes we walk through, because we had to get approval from the Canadian government to be able to move that kind of money from Canada to Liberia so that it's not money laundering. They needed to ensure all of the right protocols were in place. So it sent shivers down my body. And just so you know, prior to meeting Bleejay, I knew him from nowhere. We had never met. We had no conversation. And even Adam, who met him.
So the first conversation was on the plane?
Was on the plane, not even with me. It was with my colleague, Adam Newon, who is the Chief Financial Officer for the Liberian Association of Canada. He was going for the groundbreaking. And he heard Bleejay talking, having conversation and talking. He said, Leo, you got to meet this guy. I'm like, who guy? He's like, he's a young guy too, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. We actually met for the first time at a bank. Roughly, we're just there interacting and we met. We sat down, we had coffee, and two things ran in my head. I weighed the risk involved, and I was very aware of it. But I also weighed the opportunity involved to create a different narrative. And that was the reason why from the beginning we were adamant with Bleejay that we're not looking for a contractor. We're looking for a partner, someone who also have a skin in the game, that has something to lose. And with the issue of experience, yes, Bleejay's company did not have a lot of experience in Liberia directly on the ground, but experience is not all of it. Because guess what? Somebody has to give you the opportunity for your first big gig or your major gig or whatever that is. We can always say, oh, because you don't have experience, how are you going to build the experience if you never got the chance? So we were more adamant on the expertise to be demonstrated than saying, oh, how many buildings have you built in Liberia that we would trust? You know, we were like, show us what you are capable of doing and what you know. That will help us determine. So the risk factors were there. But I said to myself, the same way these Canadian people took that massive risk to put their money together, somebody donating over $100,000 of their hard-earned money, to me, to take it halfway around the world to somewhere they've never been on scene. If they could give me that opportunity, then I have to be willing to take that risk as well with my fellow Liberian, not based on sympathy or not based on who know you, but based on the quality of expertise that they also demonstrated. Because that was why these Canadian people trusted me with their money, because of what I had demonstrated to them. They were brave to say, okay, let's give Leo the benefit of the doubt and see if he can prove us wrong here, that there are people in Liberia, despite all the corruption, despite all the stealing, despite all the blackmailing and falsehood and incompetence, there are still people in Liberia who are capable, because I have proven the point to people over and over again that Liberia is not suffering from a brain drain. That's the biggest lie we've been told. Liberia is suffering from severe marginalization of people in Liberia who have the expertise and qualification to do work because they are not in the circles of who know who and are not willing to partake in the corruption of the day at their own expense.
And so, Leo, quickly, who are involved with this project?
So Empowerment Squared, the organization I founded here in Canada and lead, is the one actually doing the project. But we're also partnering with the Rotary Club of Hamilton, the Rotary Club of Monrovia. We also have Rotary International, which is the global organization. They are both funding partners and implementation partners as well. Painesville City Corporation is our main implementing partner in Liberia on the ground, as you see where the project itself is taking place. But then we also now have recently the Hamilton Public Library System. In fact, the CEO traveled with me to Liberia for the groundbreaking when we went to Liberia. They have now agreed to not just be a partner, but to help use this project as the opportunity for building the first national library system. So we're not just looking at one building anymore. The long-term goal is once we have the system in place, that means when you're in that building, anything you can access in a public library in Canada here, you'll be able to access the exact same quality of resources in that building.
Thank you. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Liberian Drain. Today, we are talking about the Liberian Lending Center that is under construction in Liberia in the city of Painesville, the first ever learning center, library to be built in our country. Of all of the years we have existed as a people, this is under construction. This will be their first, and this is historic. And it's that reason we said changing the narrative from politicking to nation building, because this is how we need to build a nation. And yes, the other part you will like. Liberians are in the lead. They're not behind the Lamani people. This one, Liberians are taking the lead. Let me come to Bleejay. Bleejay, what does it mean for you as a young Liberian entrepreneur? What does it entail? This is a project that is on a mass scale with all the complexity. This is some construction. I know nothing about construction, but I know there are a lot of technical details involved, especially with the quality of work, Canadian standard that is being required. I know you have the education in the area, but this is tough. How are you managing, knowing our people in Liberia, the way we treat work, our attitude toward work? That is a reality. How are you managing to deliver the standard you're being asked to deliver?
Well, I think the first thing for me is realizing that there's no one person who is achieving and is doing this. I think collaboration is very, very key. Our company relies heavily on consultants that we work along with, partners that we have on the construction side as well, to be able to execute this. And I think teaching our people and teaching the people that we work with how important communication and transparency has been key in managing this project. I think when you have a project like this, there are a lot of different pieces, and you're not just managing the project physically, you're managing the expectations of the project as well. Because as soon as Leo announces or they did a groundbreaking ceremony, the Liberian people mentally have already said, oh, their company not give millions of dollars to so-and-so in Liberia, the people not eating money. So from the time that you do a groundbreaking, the people expect excavators to be digging in the ground. They expect people to be in hard hats and vests to start working right away. And the construction process is not that simple. So communicating with our people to manage the expectation of their mindset was a big thing. So being able to talk to the people and being transparent with them and saying, there's a process. Here's what the process is, and not leaving the people in the dark of saying, from the point of this building, the dream being conceptualized, there has to go through a process where, you have to put together engineering drawings. Those engineering drawings have to be approved to the international standard that we're working with. They have to be approved by Public Works. You have to get, different type of permits for Public Works to approve your drawings. You have to make sure that it makes sense what the company in Canada, Drew, makes sense for the local context in Liberia. You have to make them to understand that, hey, we haven't gotten any money yet. There's no money in our hands. We have to put Leo involved to say, hey, Leo, make a statement, make these people aware that Painesville City has not gotten any money that they've eaten. They haven't given us any money, that money has disappeared and no work has started yet. So there's a whole nother stress to, you're thinking about the project, but then you're thinking about the expectations and the mindset of our people. And frankly, it's our job as well to be able to communicate effectively, with those people, communicate with our employees and our partners effectively and openly as far as what's happening. And I think we've done a great job of doing that. We've done a great job with all of the stakeholders have supported us in making sure that we're all on the same page. And I think it's been very, very important. We have bi-weekly meetings where we talk with Leo and his team. We have group chats set up on WhatsApp, through emails, where we communicate effectively, almost every day or almost every other day. So everyone is on the same page. No one is left in the dark as to what's happening. If there's an issue or there's a mistake, we communicate it right away. And I think, we've held ourselves to a standard where there's full transparency and accountability. We want to make sure that we're accountable to our partners who've taken this chance on us as a company, and we want to make sure that the dream that they've put together comes to full fruition, and that everyone is happy at the same time. So it hasn't been an easy process, but it's been working effectively because we've put a system in place as far as how we're going to communicate with each other, as far as how we're going to hold each other accountable, and so far that's been a foundation of moving this project forward successfully.
Yeah, just to add to that quickly, Anthony, before you come in, I know Adam, no one is watching. Adam is the person who was on the flight when Bleejay was having the car. So I just wanted to send a shout out to him that he's watching the show as well. But also what Bleejay said, let me give you a quick story, Anthony, you can go from there. When someone asked me when I was in Liberia, and I told them we spent just around 40,000 United States dollars just on the mobilization and pre-construction, and they look at me like, oh, that can almost finish the foundation. What are you guys doing? But again, this is the thought process of what people do not understand. We go to Liberia, somebody said they can build something, all these big NGOs can, and we just start digging the ground. But guess what we found? When Bleejay and his team started to do the pre-construction work and all that stuff, one of the things they found during the soil testing was that site had been backfilled long time ago. So dirt was moved to that site long time ago that turned into the ground there. What that meant, if we didn't investigate to find out, was the foundation would have been sitting in unstable soil. So you're going to build your foundation, and then 5 years later, you see one side of the wall leaning or one side cracking. So it's saving yourself $40,000 and losing $2 million in the process at the end of the day. But again, I just want to say this because in Liberia, we have this tendency that it's these old people who've been around from the 1960, 1970 days. We are the ones supposed to be following them. I think it is time for us to set a new narrative that the way our country has been going is not the way we want it to go. We disagree, and that disagreement does not have to be through violence in the street. It does not have to be through fighting and insulting each other on Facebook. It has to be through the demonstration of the way we want our country to go. So don't tell me, show me. And through this collaboration with Bleejay, it's our way of showing that we disagree with where our country has been going. We want to redirect the energy to where it should be going.
So Leo, let's talk about money a little more. This is a big project expected to host the first Liberian public library in Liberia. Among things, I think it's estimated at $2 million. Break it down for us.
Yeah, so I'll break it down for you. So the first building, which is the largest and the main building itself, is what's going up right now. That building is going to house the first ever public library. Now, let me say, I used to say first post-war. We did some research and realized that even before the war, there was not a public library. There were private libraries that people used to access, but Liberia never had a public library or library system either. So that would be in there. There will also be a dedicated children's learning atrium. So a dedicated children's library that all of the artifacts and stuff would just be designated for children. There will be a small business incubation center or co-working space, like we like to call it. So in Liberia, you have a lot of great small organizations, NGOs, that don't have the money to go rent a whole apartment flat in Sincor and call it their office. But they're doing incredible work, very innovative. How can you create a space for them where each of them can get a hot desk, where they come in the space, their offices are located in the space? They share all the resources, they share the printer, they share the internet, they share everything there, but they only have to pay maybe $100 a month compared to paying $1,000 a month somewhere. All of that includes their electricity bill and everything is built in that particular amount that they pay. We are also then going to have what we call a storytelling incubator in the building we're actually looking at. That means our culture is still oral, Anthony. We know that. As much as we like to pretend like we are big educated people, we are educated, not just very literate. We're not a literate society, but we're a very educated society. How do we start to capture some of that oral culture in audiovisual ways? Like, it doesn't have to be written in books. It can be in videos. It can be in different ways that we can do that. So the one thing Bleejay did not mention, I'm excited about in breaking down. So that first phase of that building is just around $700,000 by the time it's all said and done. We are looking around 700,000 United States dollars. The second phase is going to be an indoor recreation facility. So one of the things we don't have in Liberia, safe spaces for physical indoor activities. And then the third phase is going to be renovating the current Painesville Town Hall. Like I said, that building is about 50 years old, and it hasn't been conditioned even since the war and after the war. So we are looking at renovating it. There's no point in having two shiny new buildings, state-of-the-art buildings in the space, and then one old, one standing right beside it. So we are going to be reimagining the entire Painesville Town Hall compound into what a space like that is supposed to look like when we come uptown. And we can go to the People's City Hall and Town Hall and we see what can look in there. How come we agreed our own might be dumpa, our own might be the way it looking? So no, the same thing that we can enjoy it, we want to try and translate it to in a way that makes sense in our communities.
Thank you so very much, Leo. Folks, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we will be showing you images of the Liberian Learning Center that is under construction. The guy connected to the whole engineering thing is here in the house. That is Bleejay, Innis. Bleejay will display the images, and then you will be able to explain it for our audience to understand all the different components of the building. We'll take a short break, folks, and we will be right back. Please don't go anywhere.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Bleejay.
Bleejay is not here. I'm here today. Bleejay, let's get started here. First image on the screen. Explain this to us.
Yeah, so this is external rendering of the exterior of the building. So again, the architectural firm out of Canada came up with the concept, and along with Empowerment Square, they came up with the visual, the conceptual visual of how they wanted this building to look. One of the things that got me excited about seeing the initial renderings of this is that is different aesthetically than what you see in Liberia. Typically, you see quick impact projects in Liberia where, you know, the simple four-corner box building that they put down and they're finished with it. But, you know, there's thought in the architecture, there's thought in the creativity, you know, of the building. This is saying that this is something new, you know, in an environment where everything looks the same and everything is broken down. Just the exterior look of the building is showing you that artistically, you know, from a design and engineering standpoint, that this is something new that is automatically going to catch your eye to show you the standard of where we're looking to go from a development standpoint. So to keep in mind, this was an initial rendering. There are a few things that are going to be changed about the finished building when we're done with it. But for the most part, the building is going to look pretty much like you see here. But from an engineering standpoint and some decisions made on budget and things like that, and practicality of some materials, a few things were tweaked from the finished design concept here. But what you'll see when the project is completed, it's going to look a lot like this.
And Anthony, just quickly before you go, the thing is what Bleejay was saying, in Liberia, even the Capitol building that we know, all the buildings in Liberia, we conspire to hide ourselves from the sunlight. Even though we got sunshine 12 months a year, all the buildings in Liberia need LED bulb to be on 12 o'clock midday because everything is just dark because of these big boxes. So one of the things you will look at here, the aesthetic of the building is taking advantage of the natural sunlight that Liberia has to ensure you can minimize power usage during the day when there's brightness in Liberia. Don't have to have all the LED bulb all day because it's just dark all day.
All right. So this is more like the interior look of it, right?
Yeah, this is the children's learning atrium I was telling you about. So you can see aesthetically, the thought process behind the design is to ensure that it is kids friendly. So you'll see the type of shelves with the type of books on it that the kids' hand can actually reach it. So you don't have to be worried about things falling off on them. You can let them play by themselves in there where adults can sit outside if you see the aesthetics and watch the kids play without interfering with them playing, because they can take out their own books. Their hand can reach there. You don't got to worry about something falling on them. Same thing, open concept, and Bleejay can speak to this a little bit. The idea is you can almost see everything in the building, even if you can't hear it. You're able to clearly see. So this thing, we're not closing people off because we also want to minimize the risks of everything from sexual harassment, sexual, stuff that we do. We know Liberia, we know the way things are. You put people behind closed doors, in closed rooms that nobody can see, who knows what happens there. So the goal is to make the building very inviting, that when you walk in immediately, you feel like you're in a space that is welcoming, and it's not in a space that, oh, you're scared to go to that door because you don't know what is behind it.
Okay. Bleejay, you want to say something, or is good?
Yeah, I mean, Leo talked on the openness, the open floor plan concept of this. One of the things as well that the openness of the building promotes is the flow of air in the building. You know, this is very important. These are things when we're designing and engineering and building buildings in Liberia, we often don't think about. You hear about people dying from gas poisoning. You hear about, people don't think about getting sick from mold. People don't think about, the health hazards that come with building as well. So you get into a lot of these older buildings in Liberia. There's mold. There's difficulty breathing because there's no ventilation. You feel like you're in a prison. There's walls everywhere, and people end up getting sick when you work in an environment for a very long period of time. You don't realize that these things are making you sick, and then one day you get sick, and people say, "Oh, somebody wished the man died." But no, these are things that are simple things where, there are codes and system in buildings here where if airflow is not able to move in a building and there's a risk of people getting sick from the materials you're using in the building, all of these things are things that your building is not going to pass the permitting code. So, these are things that you're seeing again with Empowerment Square design here that we're executing. We're not just building a building that looks good, but we're taking into account the safety and the functionality of the building as well.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to this a little bit, Anthony, a few of the concepts that went into this. So one of the things you see highlighted is passive ventilation. So the building is being designed in a way, let's say in December during the Hamilton months or whatever, when the temperature is cooler in Liberia, you don't have to have air conditioner running through the building. You can open the building up in a way that takes advantage of natural airflow, like Bleejay was talking about how you process ventilation. Another piece we are looking at is the solar piece, by the way. It's just so you know, this building is going to have its own solar plant, its own a mini solar plant that can produce energy that we are going to be experimenting with. Rotary International is directly funding the construction or the development of a solar piece as a source of power. We're trying to start experimenting with the fact that we'll not be waiting for the day LEC get it right? We need to start looking for more renewable ways of producing power, giving the blessing of sunshine that we have. So we're not saying entirely solar. We're experimenting that there will be LEC as well. But the goal is, how do you find a source of power so that the building is not shut down for 2 weeks because no LEC could come to the building for 2 weeks. So that means nothing can happen in the building for 2 weeks. I can let Bleejay speak to this a little bit. That was the site changing when they started the excavation and stuff.
Yeah, so this is basically the mobilization phase of the project, which entails from an aerial view here, you can see the perimeter and the site. This building is roughly going to be about 9,000 square feet. So you can see the perimeter of where we blocked off for where phase one, the library, is going to be, and we cleared the topsoil of the site here to be able to start excavation and laying out our perimeters for the foundation. So as we can see, this was the before shot. This is how Painesville City Corporation, the site where the library is going now, was looking before we went in there and started mobilizing the site. Again, these are pictures of the mobilization process. Part of mobilization included cutting down the shrubberies, the trees, and just clearing what the current site conditions were. We have some trees and things there that the mayor was very adamant that she wanted replanted. Some of those trees were her babies. She didn't want to see us completely destroy some of those trees. She wanted to see it come back to life when the project was completed. So we took our time trimming some of the trees that some of them will be replanted back on the site there when it's completed.
Yeah, so I put this up here just to remind people, Anthony, of the situation we're facing in Liberia when I talk about nation building, right? So this building right now at the Painesville Town Hall was erected December 15, 1972. That's 50 years ago. So the fact that in 2022, we are still in a situation where to maintain and properly take care of a 50-year-old building is almost non-existent is a problem. And that is the reason why in any country that has to move forward and progress, after 50 years, there should be a need for building on what you had and improving it. You can't almost be saying, oh my God, if they're 50-year-old building, 1 year we're done, they did it, building breakdown, no, it has to be progress. So I put this here to remind people that it has taken us 50 years to do anything on this site. Since that building was put there 50 years ago, we haven't had the ability to move beyond that particular building. So I'm excited. It's taking way too long, in my opinion. I hope it doesn't take us another 50 years. But I just put this there to remind people about, as a country, the level of work that we've got to do. And you can use this for almost any building in Liberia. It's almost the same narrative, if not worse.
Again, so this was a site visit before mobilization began. So it goes to show that there's a lot of effort and energy that goes into the construction process before you even start excavating the site. So we did a lot of site visits. There was a lot of site visits. There was a lot of pre-engineering meetings and things about understanding the site before we went in there. So with construction and dealing with the soil, once you get in the ground, there are surprises that may happen. There are things that you can't 100% account for in the pre-planning process. So a lot of the pre-planning process involves being able to do your assessment, do risk assessment, be able to do your homework, so that when you start the project, you mitigate the risk as much as possible. So these again are just some photos of site visits that our team had on the project site again before we began mobilizing and begin the construction of the foundation.
Is that the Painesville City Hall back there?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. And then?
Yeah, so again, this is a just picture of dirt moving. One of the things everybody was very excited to see. Everybody wanted to know when they would start seeing the machines on site, when you would start seeing the dirt being pushed. Those are the things that get people excited in construction. So again, this was a monumental part of the process that we were all excited to finally be able to see, that we did a lot of our homework and we were finally ready to start excavation of the site. So this is our workshop for our steel benders. So when you have an opportunity to visit the site at Painesville City Hall here, you'll see that we have different workshops for our carpenters, for the steel benders, and for the different craftsmen that we have on site, being able to make sure that they have a safe, effective workspace. One of the things that you'll see that is the effective use of PPE, protection equipment, on site. So we make sure our guys are always wearing helmets, their construction vests, they're wearing the proper boots and equipment. When you go on a lot of construction sites in Liberia, you see that there's no standard, right? So, the man cut his finger off, or he cut his toes off, or gets hurt, they will tell him sorry and send him to the hospital, getting small money when he's done. But we hold ourselves accountable for what happens to our employees. So we make sure that we have safety supervisors on site as well, that make sure that they're managing the flow of people who are coming in, that they're abiding to safety protocols, and also making sure that the workers who are coming on, the consultants who are coming on site, are also being able to hold the standard accountable that you have for safety. So as you're seeing all of these photos, our guys are well equipped from a safety standpoint.
and also to just help reduce the traffic also, Anthony. So Painesville City Hall is a very highly traffic area where people go by foot all day for all kinds of stuff. So having like a workshop, the steel workshop and stuff on site helps reduce the movement of vehicles, bringing stuff in and back out through the day.
Yep.
All right.
So this,
go ahead.
So this photo here, this is a photo on the left that you're seeing where we were pretty much done putting in all of the columns, all of the footings for the foundation, and we started to backfill the site here. And the photo on the right is an interesting photo. You're seeing 3 of the women that work along with us. One of the things that we focus on a lot is being able to educate and empower on our construction site as well. So 2 of these ladies that you see in the photos on the right are interns. One is from Stella Marie. Both of them are from Stella Marie Polytech. And the lady in the middle there, she's a full-time employee. But empowering women on our site and empowering young people is something that's very, very essential to this project. So you'll see a lot of that on the site here. So this was the process of us excavating the different columns and the footings for the foundation. Before, you saw it looking a little neater as you saw it in the previous photos here. So of us basically just excavating and marking out where all of our columns are going to be for the foundation. So we were very excited that we started excavating this site for the foundation in rainy season. So we know in Liberian rainy season, you can't start any excavation because of how much it rains. So we were blessed this year that the rain gave us opportunity at least to be able to stay on schedule to start excavating the soil here. And as Leo talked about earlier, when we started excavating, we realized that this site had been backfilled. So if you look across the road, the building across the road is several feet lower than the site of Painesville City Hall. So which we didn't know. There are about 3 levels of backfill here, different type of dirt to sand that was being done, that was already put on this site here. So again, a lot of these things, you don't realize it until you start excavating. So we had to reinforce our backfill there to make sure that the ground was sturdy enough for the foundation that we were building.
All right. Then.
Yeah, so this is an image of how the site currently looks. We were pretty much done with backfilling at this standpoint. More backfilling has been done from this point, but we were done with all of our column positionings. We were done with the exterior walls. This is an image of showing the front of the learning center. So where we're seeing here is going to be the entrance section and the front section of the learning center. So Painesville City Hall is sitting on the left side of the front entrance of the building.
Okay, learning center. Okay. This one.
Yeah, just more images of the backfilling process. As you can see, the far left part of the foundation here is probably the deepest portion of this building, and we had to make our columns and that portion of the foundation. We had to go very deep there because a lot of water. If you ever visited that site prior to the construction there, you'll see that corner is where a lot of water sat on the site. So we had to make sure that portion of the foundation was reinforced. So that's the highest point and the deepest point of the foundation in the upper left there.
These are the ladies you are talking about.
Again, the hardworking ladies on site. When you see them, there's no limit to what the women do on site when you see them. So anything the men do, you see them doing it there. So people, even if they have a certain amount of job or they have an assigned role, an assigned job, they're willing to pick up wheelbarrows and push dirt. They're willing to understand and learn the technical aspect of what's happening, here as well. So as you can see, the activity on site, when we started this process was very, very heavy. Again, it takes collaboration, and it's just an excitement being on site for a lot of these guys who work with us, that they're involved in such a monumental project. Some of these, a lot of these workers are parents. So you hear a lot of them joking about their children being able to come in and spend time in the learning center, and just the excitement that you see from the people who are on site as well. Just to know that they're part of such a historical and monumental project is exciting for us, and it's exciting to see.
So Bleejay, this is no longer a dream. We just saw the pictures. You are leading the construction. You are a Liberian, and you don't want this to fail because you know what people are going to say. How do you feel now that that dream is coming to a reality?
Man, excited, very, very excited. Excited that the nervousness that we had about if Leo and his team were serious about this project, that we were able to see that they actually were serious, and vice versa, that they were able to see our expertise and the standard and the accountability that we hold ourselves to. And again, there's no point of us being complacent and being relaxed. The job is not done yet. This is a very, very early stage, so we still have a lot to prove, for ourselves. So excited, but at the same time cautious. And I think this is a message that we preach to our team, that there's no complacency. There's no point where we get relaxed. There's no point where we get comfortable in this project. Oftentimes, our people, when people start praising us, that when we start embarrassing ourselves and making ourselves look bad. So, for us, I try to close my ears to all of the praise and the excitement for the right reasons, to make sure that we still have a long way to go, and that there's still a standard that we have to uphold to make sure that this project is delivered to the Liberian people as Empowerment Square envisions.
Leo, we learned that the project is about $2 million. And I'm not sure if you've gotten all the money yet. So my question is, where are you with fundraising? Any other plans?
Yeah, so with fundraising is something we've been very practical about, and not just because people set these lofty goals sometimes, and it's not based on a lot of things, right? So what we've done with the project as a risk management piece as well. Do not tell people in Canada, give all your $2 million, let's take it to Liberia, we'll win the project. We broke it down to say we want the project to be in 3 phases. So phase 1 of the project is the current building that's going up as we speak. And that phase, give or take, when all is said and done, is around 700,000 thereabout, like I said, USD. So for example, the foundation alone costs us just a little over 300K, just the foundation, because that's a heavier side of where the work actually goes. So right now we've raised enough money to finish the entire foundation. The next phase is going to be with the walls going up. I think Bleejay are on track, hopefully by the end of January or maybe early February thereabout, to see the foundation being done. They're going to start the casting of the foundation. And then we would transition to the next phase of the walls going. So right now we're actively fundraising. The next phase. So right now we have raised, I would say, about 400 or a little over 400,000 US dollars. In totality. So we are shy about, I would say, 250 to 300,000 US dollars is what we are actively fundraising for right now. And we're very hopeful. And part of the reason for getting out and having these conversations, a lot of Liberians call me all the time. Oh, what can we do?
Yeah.
Or how do we participate? Yeah. I know we are talking to Focus on Liberia to see if we can put something together to provide Liberians the opportunity. So Liberians living in the US and Canada, we have an approval from the IRS in the US for this project. So we can issue tax deductible receipts in the US and Canada. So let's say someone in the US gave us $1,000. You could get anywhere between 60 to 65% of that money back in your taxes, because it will be considered a charitable donation. So depending on your tax bracket, you get over 50% of that money back once we issue you the receipt with the number coded on it when you go to do your taxes directly. The same in Canada. No amount of contribution is too big. No amount is too small. We're engaging everybody. This is a true Liberian project. There are opportunities for people to create memorial in the buildings as well. So if you wanted to dedicate a plaque in the building to your grandma, to your mother, to your father, to your wife, to your child, we create those opportunities as well. Reach out to myself or Bleejay directly, but we will be talking to Focus on Liberia about hopefully doing something particularly focused on how people can become part of the project, how they can support, and what are the ways in which they can support.
So, Leo, the project is ongoing. Eventually, it'll be completed. I'm sure all the money going to be raised. This is something that nobody can kick against. Even the people who are in a position to be able to do something like that are not doing something like that. They want to see it. I'm saying this to say that every Liberian would like to contribute to that. So that money may not be the problem. What that has always been our problem, more so, Leo, is maintaining what we achieve or what is being given to us, sustaining it? What is the plan that you got in place so that this learning center will not become like Mandwala Market in Negro Town sometime in the future?
Yeah. So a big part of that sustainability process was getting a company like Tribeca and Bleejay on. Right? Because the attitude in Liberia is when something breaks on that building, we don't want to have to send engineers from Canada to go to Liberia to help us repair, or we don't have to want to wait for the shipping container to come from Canada with a piece that broke before they can repair. That was a big part of it. And that's what I'm excited that Bleejay and his team have managed to use. Majority of the things they're using in the construction are things right from in Liberia locally. Majority of it. So replacing and stuff. So that's a big part of it. The second part of it is the financial budgeting of it. We budgeted for the project in a way where the first 3 years of operation, Anthony, is built in the budget. We've also built into it revenue generating streams. We expect the building to be self-sufficient. So some of the things we put in the building will be a state-of-the-art desktop publishing facility. So in Liberia, if you go to World Trade Center, Anthony, to try and print anything proper, and even you go to World Trade Center, you still don't get it printed properly. You get something when you go there, the man with their printer on their arm and their little computer, they will do your little thing. Or when you not know somebody in a big office and you know that you can go to, you're done. So a simple desktop publishing facility that can do anything from your large billboard to your small magazine. Guess what? We can help supply all of the schools from their exams, even the universities, the colleges. We can do their pamphlets. Students don't have to be chasing down where they can go at an affordable rate. Another piece we are looking at is the access to research facilities and resources. Since we are going to be linked with the public library system in Canada, we will have access to resources that people who can afford to pay for it can pay for it because they can only access it in a particular facility. We'll have a membership-based status as well, where you can become a membership-based person paying dues to have access to the facility for your work. So looking at a cafe in the building as well. And then what I talk about, the co-working facility, where we'll have spaces for leasing for small businesses and organizations in the community. But all of these things sound great on paper, Anthony, until you see them in reality. That is the reason why we are building in the first 3 years of operational budget in the building itself, so that 3 years is enough time for us to see which one of the revenue generating stream working versus which ones are not working, which one do we need to double down. But let me break this news because a lot of people don't know yet. We are beginning the process of engaging the Liberian government through few of our senators, especially in Maserado, Senator Darius Dillon, Senator Sir Joseph, around having the Liberian legislature to hopefully pass a bill creating a national library system for the Republic of Liberia using this project. It's not a private initiative. It's a public-private partnership to bring it to life, and we want it to be intentional. Our donors want to see that if the public library system in Canada is going to commit 10 years to helping us develop this, they don't want to say one day, oh, the other government said, and I agree, or they might cancel the stuff. So we are looking at engaging our government. And I want to use this as an example. The reason I'm saying it, because this is how you can smartly work with any government to foster nation building. And I don't think our government would be tone deaf to this, because President Weah said it. We should work hard to make sure Liberians are not spectators in their own country. So this is what we're trying to do. And I'm hoping that by doing that, we want the government of Liberia to also commit. The amount of money does not matter to me. Whether that's $2,000, whether that's $5,000, whether that's $10,000, we want to see that within the Liberian government minimum resources, they're able to commit to this vision, so that when we come in the diaspora to our foreign partners, we can say our government I get plenty of money, but the little they have committed it to this annually to ensure that this is a serious thing. So those are the different angles of sustainability that we are putting in place.
Thank you. And gentlemen, finally, and starting with you, Bleejay, let's talk about timelines and projections for the project.
Yeah, so the project, the overall timeline of the project is estimated to be about 18 months. So we started mobilization in June. June of 2021. So as our schedule sits now, we're hoping sometime in December to be completed with the learning center. So, granted that all of our supporters and all of our donors and people who hear about this project are as excited about this project as we all are, and can join in and can contribute into the fundraising efforts to make sure that the project stays on course. we would definitely hit that timeline and hit that mark. But again, it takes everyone coming in. Leo and his team and the other stakeholders came and dreamed up the vision. And it takes us as Liberian people to have ownership of this project as well, to be able to give whatever we can give to say that, hey, we were part of financing and funding and bringing this dream to reality. So we're hoping by sometime in December, this project, by the grace of God, will be completed.
Yo.
Yeah, Bleejay just made a very important point. That is a estimated timeline. If your engineers tell you that, you don't go in debate with them. What you need to do now is to go try and find the money to give it to them so that they can get their work done. So, and this is where I'm imploring Liberians. We've always said, nothing can happen in Liberia. You try to say you want to help people, you can find nothing good or whatever that is. I'm hoping that this can start to change that narrative. That when we provide the opportunity for something to be done properly, this is not, they say, if you're in Liberia now, please, you can go visit the site. They're not voodoo, it's not hitting somewhere. You can see it happening and you can see yourself being part of it. So there is an opportunity for us to engage Liberians. Let us not only allow foreigners to think that this is so important that they are putting in their money. Like you heard the mayor say, we've had donors putting in over $100,000 in one check with their own money. And some of them got no reason to go to Liberia. They got nothing else there. It's just because of their passion for education. This is an opportunity for us to take the bull by the horn, so the people will say, in terms of saying we can beat our chest and say, my $300 went to that effort. My $100 went to that effort. My $5,000 went to that effort. I am a proud person today because I did not standing there by magic. So tomorrow when somebody decide that they want stage a protest to go throw a rock to it, that you will beat your chest in front of them and say, we dare anybody to throw a rock to this one. They're not the American people money here. They're not the foreign NGO people money here. Our sweat, blood, and tears went into this. This is how you prevent yourself from destroying things. Because when you sweat and know how difficult it is to put it there, if somebody said take a rock and one chunk it, the way you will rush to the person with a rock, we made them know that, no, this one here will not fool around with it. But because we haven't gone through the process of experiencing nation building of our sweat and blood, that is the reason why sometimes we take for granted what we are handed. We won't hand out this time around. We want to beat our chest and say this is our creation. So that when anybody come in the country, Anthony, and say they want big reading room for us, we'll say, can I go show you the example of the reading room? And you see they want, either do it like they or it might be better than they want. Don't come build something like lay kitchen for us and put a tarpaulin oil and cut a rope and say you build reading room because they're the best in the country.
Then we can show them quality and tell them we deserve quality because we ourselves have built for ourselves something of quality. We'll take a short break. When we come back, gentlemen, we'll read comments and we will take leave of you. So that's short break right now, and we will be right back, folks. All right, folks, we are back with you. We will get your reaction to what you just listening to. Let's read a few comments. Antonin K. Vampani, Leo, as I said before, that the St. Matthew Lutheran Church platform is George.
I think you should
church-related programs, no politics or any other thing outside church issues. So we want to inform you that as administrators, we are going to block you from posting on this platform. Let's hear from Ambassador Giflaw. He writes, Leo Johnson, thanks so kindly for your effort and contributions to Liberia. God bless Empowerment Square, I believe, and all partners who are working together to make this project a success. Let's hear from Riches Flomo, watching from Buchanan City. And your Buchanan brother is here, if I can pull it that way. Great topic, he said. Let's hear from this Facebook user. The sad thing is 95% of the population is rotten, he said. I want you giving that analogy about rotten orange and all that and orange juice. we cannot get rid of them. I have to help to fix them. But when you're producing Jew, you put it there, you spot a Jew. So
And the new one that are growing up can be the ones that replace them. We ain't got to get rid of the other one.
exactly. Frances was seen as a supporter of Focus on Liberia, the importance of Capadan, good for you all. She's talking about money. Did I pronounce it well? Is that Capadan?
Yes, carpe diem.
Carpe diem. Okay. Is it your French word, Leo?
Yeah, it's basically just saying excellence and doing things properly. So something at the highest level.
Okay, excellent. This person, right? It is Mille Digital Library. It's a Mille Digital Library where it contains books, encyclopedia, and dictionaries, etc. Leo, answer that one quick before we move on.
First of all, this idea where people think digital library and books are two separate things in isolation, they're not. They both support each other. The thing that become digital, that the books that they took and make digital. So in a country like Liberia, where access to internet and data or whatever, you cannot just do a digital library. So yes, we're connecting with the public library in Canada. That would be digital, online. But we will also make sure we are producing local books so that people have the ability. Books are not archaic. I live in Canada, the library. In fact, books are becoming more and more popular for people now. So we will have both to ensure that we are doing both. But we're not going to do one or the other. The goal is to have a complete mixture of everything possible so that more people can access it and not just people who get access to computers and internet.
Thank you. This writer said, I am mesmerized by his eloquence. I think they're talking about you, Mr. Innis.
People said, dear, Mr. Innis, then,
yeah, because that I mean, I don't get out one.
They're talking about all of us.
So, Mampu, right? This news brings tears to my eyes. Happy tears. She said, I am very glad. Thank guys. Let's hear from Frances again. Bleejay, where are you finding qualified artisan, plumbers, electrician, carpenters, etc.? Because training school system is a must for our tomorrow. Quickly, Bleejay.
Yeah, surprisingly, there are a lot of good and qualified professional artisans in Liberian professionals in Liberia. We just don't hear about them. You know, you have a lot of foreign firms that come in. Most of these buildings that we see as the standard of building in Liberia, it's been Liberian plumbers and masoners who've worked on those buildings. A lot of these companies, though, have come in and they've had to work on investing in training them to make sure that they get to a specific standard. And we're lucky enough that there were enough trained professionals, and we're doing as much as we can to invest in training professionals in Liberia. But we were lucky that we were able to scout out and bring a lot of professionals on board, where we were able to work along with them to develop their skill sets and their and the quality of work that they do.
This writer writes, without an address and identification system, how can you maintain a library in Liberia? How will you track people who take books and other learning materials and don't return them?
So that's a very good point. And those two things are not related, by the way, address and tracking system. You can do it without address and identification system. You have systems already in place. That's why we're bringing in the Hamilton Public Library. Guess what? Even libraries in the West, people take books and don't carry them back, even with all the tracking system. So what libraries do, just to educate this person a little bit, they acquire the publishing rights for those books, the redistribution rights for them. So what they do, they are able to create reprinting of those materials. So in the public library with our partnership, we'll have those same abilities. That just because we got 10 books, the 10 books, and the only 10 books we get in the whole place, so when the 10 books get missing, that means we're done. But at the same time, we're going to restrict the movement of materials from leaving the place. Liberia as a society, we're not at a place where yet you can give people things to go and bring back. So the goal would be to facilitate and encourage people to use it in the facility. However, people who become members and are paying money for membership don't want it, we got collateral for them. So people like that will be able to take things out, because when you don't return it, you lose it. We just take the collateral on your membership and registration that we're holding for you to pay for the cost of being able to replace that.
And talking about identification, my local library here, I have my library card. I think that will also help. Let's get, is this Adam that you talk about, Ella?
That is Adam.
One that doesn't come true based on witches and hoes, but on hard work and perseverance. We continue to be very proud of you, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Innis, that person, because he put partners there, and this man is the partner that I know. The guys have done their research and have figured this out. This is not a guesswork, as you can see. Of course, it is not a guesswork. Let's hear from Jerome Gilman. No, the person talking to Jerome Gilman. I don't like when they are arguing on our discussion here. Let's hear from Sam Wallow. Great point, Bleejay. Humility, humility, humility. Then let's hear from Beverly. Beverly writes, hello, I am Reverend Beverly. I think the name is Birch, Executive Director of Power Project in Virginia. We are 501c3 in USA and NGO in Liberia. How can we partner? Leo, please pick it up, reach
Yeah,
out.
so yeah, if you can reach out, we'll try to reach out to you too after here.
Yes, the number he provided.
Yeah, let me just
get that number quickly.
Yeah, and then we'll be able to reach out to you after that. I have it.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue on here. Robert said, Pro, I agree with you on the point. We need many libraries. That is not an argument. We need them. We need them. We have never had one. We are getting one now. I hope they will be the motivation for more and more, especially in my grand crew. I don't want to put politics in this thing, but leave it right there. Let's hear from Rafael Papi Kiazulu. Great question answering about maintenance of the building. Man, that people here can make me a little smile, and not smart, no. But let me progress here. What's the name? Massa. Massa said, working in partnership with Liberian Artists Association.
That's a very great point, Anthony. I want to speak to. Thank you, Massa, actually, for putting that on. So in Liberia, what we've done, we've gotten in touch with the Liberian Artists Association that we're now partnering with. Because again, we don't want to go in that building, Anthony. We see American picture there, but a map and a globe for the world inside. We're hoping that in our partnership with the Liberian Artists Association, the artifacts in that building would be a reflection of our Liberian culture, of our Liberian excellence, and our Liberian artists. That when you walk in there, when you say, wow, what kind of picture there? We say that guy living down Puebla Road. They got that data picture over there or that image over there. So thank you, Massa, for reminding me they are one of our partners in Liberia, the Liberian Artists Association.
That is excellent. You know, I want to see D12. I want to see there's the Liberian musician who is like a friend to us here. We interviewed him 2 times. He's Dennis boy.
Yeah, and also Anthony, the visual arts as well, like those guys that do the paintings.
Excellent, excellent. That is good. That way we can see ourselves in that building and take ownership of it. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, that will do it for comments because of time. We can't say thank you enough for coming. We'll take closing a statement from you, starting with my man Bleejay Innis, the engineer behind all the work, doing all the technical stuff to make sure that the learning center reaches to our people, so that we can have the opportunity to experience it and use it to transform ourselves and become the country we ought to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Sia and Leo, and all of you who took your time today to be able to join us on this platform. I'll end by saying that the development of our country is not a one-person job. Leo said it earlier. A president, a mayor, or whoever, a senator cannot develop Liberia on their own. It takes collaboration. It takes commitment from us all. Our country has been through years of civil war and destruction. So it takes a collective effort from all of us to bring all hands on deck to rebuild in whatever ways that we've been blessed to be educated and have skill sets to be able to do so. So again, and it takes us trusting one another and working along with each other. This is a prime example of Liberians trusting Liberians, and hopefully we can show that worked out successfully, but we have to go the extra mile to trust one another, and we can't just be spectators and sit back and talk about what isn't working in Liberia. We have to physically go in and try and to be able to commit and back up our talking with action in some way. So again, I'm optimistic. I believe that our country will be where we desire for it to be, but we can't get it there if all of us are sitting back and just criticizing and doing nothing. So again, I thank you all. And if anyone is looking for just information in working in Liberia and doing construction work in Liberia, whether you don't even have a project, but you just want to get some information, you can feel free to reach out to me. and willing to be able to support and answer any questions that we can to be able to develop our country.
How do they get to you? Through me?
Yeah, so you can reach out to Mr. Sia. He'll have my information, but just to put it out there as well, my email address is Innis, my first name, first initial, last name, BINNIS at tribuchanan, TRIBUCHANAN.com. That is the fastest way to be able to reach out to me via email, or you can connect with me. My name is here. Send me a message or send me a friend request on Facebook, and we'll look forward to connecting.
Thank you so very much, Bleejay. It was good having you. Leo, how can individuals who want to contribute do so from $10? I know you're working on something with Focus on Liberia to have a formal program for that fund, but answer that question and give us.
Yeah, but to do it right now, people who want to do it now can go to empowermentsquared.org. You will see the big donate button, and you even see information about the project. When you hit the donate button, you can donate using your debit card, your credit card, or whatever that is. If you want to do it any other way, then you have to just reach out to me directly. You can inbox me, or you can even contact Anthony directly to get to me, and we can facilitate that for you. If you do it online, you will automatically receive the receipt with the number on it for your tax purposes. So like I said, in the coming weeks or so, we'll be announcing an actual initiative. Hopefully, we'll focus on Liberia to allow people to be able to contribute as well. But you can do it right now as we speak. For my closing comments, I will start by repeating this song that everybody plays in Liberia now. Kapao, kapao, kapao. It's in Pele. And what
you want us to play a little bit?
Just a little bit of it, so I can tell people why I'm saying that.
Okay. Hold on, let me find that song quickly, Leo. Yeah, it is. Oh, I'm sorry, Leo. Go ahead. Thanks.
No, that's good. Thank you. Yeah. So the song is saying, "Children of Liberia, y'all come, let's build the land." It also goes on to say, when we do all the friskiness in the white man land, let's come back to our own and show that we too can do something. And it also goes on to say, the white man whom too far away. So the things that we do there sometimes may not have an impact locally. So let's try our best to bring it back home. And I use that song because I think people need to come to the point of realizing, instead of us working hard to only always raise funds and resources to go to Liberia and tear things down. And don't get me wrong, some things in Liberia need tearing down, things like corruption and the rest of them. But we also need to fight with one hand and build with the other hand. Because when you tear down, what you do is you create a vacuum. And when you create that vacuum and you don't have an idea how to build something in that vacuum, guess what? Somebody bad with the resources who knows how to build a bad thing will take it over. So we'll be in this perpetual cycle. We break one bad thing down, another new one is built. We break that one down. So at this point, I'm telling everybody, it's time for us to remove our focus from just breaking things down. We've broken things down since 1979 to the point there is nothing left to be broken down anymore. So at this point, it's time to stop breaking down, to start building. So at Imperial, we say, it means your own are your own. Regardless of how bad it is, it took Ghana 40 years with the beginning of Jerry Rowland to turn the story around. So it could take us 40 to 50 years to turn our story around as well, the way it should be. So I say to everybody, the Pele people say, what that means, that your collector in here, the people can see before they join you to come do the work. And when someone see you working and they see you throw the collar, be like, wow, the guy here will be successful. I can see the man here, I will join. So Bleejay, myself, and all the partners, we now show our own collector in here. We're begging everybody to please join us, because by ourselves, we can't finish clearing the whole bush. We're starting strong, but we need everybody to join us, because the process of a nation is not going to be based on the politicking. It's going to be based on the proper effort of consistent nation building beyond multiple presidential elections, beyond multiple presidential regimes. We will remain committed to the process, the same way during the war, with the bullets fighting, we used to find a way to find food, to eat, to drink on refugee camps. We did it. Let's put ourselves back in that mold. that regardless of how corrupt the system is, regardless of how bad things are, we will work our way around this for the right reasons. The same way other people can work their way around it for the wrong reasons, we will work our way around it for the right reasons. So thank you, everybody. Anthony, thank you so much.
And Leo, thank you. Mr. Innis, thank you. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Fellow Liberians, Leo said it all. You want to see Focus on Liberia color throwing hand? This is it. Bringing Liberians together to talk about the issues that matter. Responsible Liberians. Also, providing a media platform that can represent Liberia, that you can watch and you will not turn your face on the other side, that you can recommend to somebody, maybe from different country, and you will not be made shame. That is our honor, color throwing hand here at Focus on Liberia. Thank you for watching. The song says we are all Liberians. That song closes us right now. Bye-bye, folks.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.